y'all. Welcome to Cross Politics on the Fight Laugh Feast Network. Campus preacher Keith in the house. Chuck Knox, the water boy. Pastor Toby still on vacation because he needed. He pastored. He pastored a bunch of sinners.
But we miss him. I mean, we like you, Keith.
Yeah.
We like you
But we
a
miss
lot.
him.
But
Feeling nice. I'm feeling nice.
If you guys haven't figured out at this point, we've actually restructured our podcast stream so you can actually individually download each show within the podcast, or you can get the Fight Laugh Feast podcast and it streams everything within the network. So there's various ways. So you can just get Daily News Brief and subscribe to that podcast, or Cross Politics, or In the Bullpen, or Campus Preacher, or you can subscribe to Fight Laugh Feast US or Fight Laugh Feast Canada to get the various streams that are going on. So we're doing that for your listening pleasure. This year, our national conference is in Knoxville, Tennessee, October 6th through the 8th. You should know that. The theme of this year's conference is lies, propaganda, storytelling, and the serrated edge. Satan is the father of lies, and the mother of those lies is a government who has rejected God, who hates God. So mark your calendars for October 6th to the 8th and head to Knoxville as we fight, laugh, and feast with fellowship, beer, and psalms, our amazing lineup of speakers, and hanging with. Man, I love hanging with our vendors and meeting new friends. Can't wait. Can't wait to be in Knoxville.
We're going to get our humidors out there.
It's going to be fantastic. Today is the last day. That's today, Thursday, to register for early bird registration.
Yes. Okay, I did say that.
For this time, for real this time, correcting Knox. Sign up now at fightlaughfeast.com. All right. As the SCOTUS Roe ruling ramifications continue to roll out. You like that SCOTUS Roe ruling ramifications?
I'm glad you made that.
Alliteration.
To shake out, it's becoming clear to me that the left is wholly inadequate for this debate. The majority opinion spent over, that's Clarence Thomas.
Well,
and
they
those
kill
guys,
babies. Right? Yeah, they're inadequate.
Exactly. They spent, the majority opinion spent over 200 pages arguing for the historical and constitutional basis for ending Roe. And the minority opinion just ignored it. They didn't really even reference it. Justice Sotomayor back in December said that SCOTUS will not survive the stench if Roe is overturned.
They've gotten used to stinking for a long time.
Irony lost there somewhere. And in the minority opinion, they barely even quoted the Constitution. Read it for yourself. And when they did, they regurgitated the weak constitutional argument presented in the 1973 Roe decision. Quote, the court explained that a long line of precedents, quote, founded in the 14th Amendment concept of personal liberty, protected individual decision-making related to marriage, procreation, contraception, family relationships, and child rearing and education. So the minority opinion was quoting Roe v. Wade. That was a quote from there, quoting Roe v. Wade.
Yeah.
Okay. That was, and so they referenced the 14th Amendment. That was the best liberal justices could muster. A vague reference to the 14th Amendment. Now, take that same hand waving and watch the liberal pundits wave their hands at what the Bible says or doesn't say about abortion.
They need to understand the truth about what's in the Bible and what's not in the Bible. It's important because that's been used on the right to justify this. It's so fascinating that so-called conservatives have long said, abortion, Roe needs to be overturned because abortion is never mentioned in the Constitution. Well, Rev, it's also not mentioned, as you know, better than anybody, in the Bible. It's not mentioned in the New Testament. It's not mentioned in the Gospels. It's not mentioned by Jesus, not one time, which is why my church, the Southern Baptist Church, was still pro-choice through the 1970s, said women should have the decision on their own, and that the centralized state shouldn't step in and take that decision away from them. This is very recent development, and that truth needs to get out, because I think right now Democrats feel like they're hamstrung by the fact that, we can't talk about it because this has to do with the Christian faith. No, it doesn't. This has nothing to do with Jesus. Let me say it again. This has nothing to do with Jesus. This is political, especially for evangelicals. 79, 1980, Catholics, it goes back to the 1930s. But this is a recent development historically. And Democrats need to understand that, and they need to be aggressive. They need to go after voters and need to get the truth out there.
All you do is la la la.
Yeah, for real.
I mean, Joe, he's tripping.
What church is Joe a part of?
I don't know. Southern Baptist.
Yeah, Joe's told so you have two things. Let's grant that American evangelicals were pro-abortion until 1973.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean they're right.
Yeah.
There are plenty of things that the American Evangelical Church is wrong on. So this idea that it's a recent comeuppance with the church sort of thing, that's simply not the case. You can go back. Obviously, we believe it's biblical, but the Didache, Clement, even through Augustine, all these individuals
Mount
through church
Sinai.
history. And going all the way back. Because they do. And what they're looking for, it's kind of your typical apologetic confrontation, say, with a Muslim, where it's like, where does Jesus say, I am God? And so if you don't have abortion as a word, it's kind of a form of fundamentalism. And I think what we need to realize as Christians, we have to go back to the garden. When God made Adam and Eve, what do? He told them to go be fruitful and multiply. There is no way you could convince me that an Israelite woman,
be fruitful and multiply, and then kill it if you don't want it.
Eve would have been thinking like, oh, you know what? Let's kill this. You know what I mean? And starting in Genesis 3:15, there's enmity between the seed of the woman and the seed of the serpent. And there is no way that the godly line is going to crush their seed. And so this idea that it's, a Johnny-come-recently thing is, I would just say, completely contrary to the Bible. But you also have in Exodus, I think it's 21. Let me see here.
Dude, you preach.
He's just going.
Am I getting carried away?
No, do
21. It. So 21:22 says this: if men fight and hurt a woman with child, so that she gives birth prematurely, yet no harm follows, he shall surely be punished accordingly as the woman's husband imposes on him, and he shall pay as the judges determine. But if any harm follows, then you shall give life for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot, burn for burn, wound for wound, stripe for stripe. So if an accidental death of a fetus, you know what I mean, comes out stillborn, if an accident produces that, how much more from a lesser to a greater, if in an accidental death, you get this punishment, how much more should an instance where you intentionally kill the child?
You get the punishment.
So starting from Genesis chapter 1 and the unfolding of the story.
Well, because she didn't get to choose. That was the problem. It was choice. It was choice.
The whole idea is choice. And I don't think there would have been any category for, this is not a life. When John the Baptist leaps in his mother's womb and all that sort of stuff. So the biblical narrative from the very beginning of Genesis, the whole conflict, and that's even what Roe v. Wade is all about. What did Pharaoh do? He started killing as the children were coming, he was killing them. What happened when Jesus was born? They start killing the babies. So don't mistake what happened with Roe v. Wade as not being a spiritual battle. That it's not deals with the serpent seeking to crush the heads of the seed of the woman. Jesus ultimately will crush the head of the serpent. He has crushed the head. He crushed the head through the Romans church in Romans chapter 16. I think it's something he's doing through us now in time and space. So I just think we need to continue to march forward and make them prove their case that, all right, where does let's have this Bible discussion.
Because I welcome this. I'm like, finally, we got to the Bible. We talking about Roe v. Wade, law, Constitution.
And what's funny,
like, finally now the Bible.
I'll leave it be for a second because I think we need Al's response.
Well, that's the thing that Joe Scarborough brought in the expert, which was Al Sharpton.
Well, not only do Democrats need to aggressively go out there, real Christians that really study the Bible ought to be incensed. I've been a preacher since I was a little boy. I am incensed and insulted that they have hijacked the Bible and Jesus to distort and misquote. Well, it's not even misquote, create quotes that are not there to justify a right-wing kind of ideology that would take away the rights of women and then schedule to take other people's rights. And what is strange to me is, Joe, they can see a scripture that is not there about abortion, but they couldn't see love your neighbor when it came down to putting things through that would help the poor and help the needy. They couldn't see that. They didn't see Jesus healing the sick when we were dealing with affordable health care. The things that are in the Bible, they missed, and they put things that were not in the Bible there. And many gullible and insecure Democrats who probably hadn't read the Bible themselves got nervous if they would read the Bible and fight back.
They got to decide. Do they want Christian nationalism or not?
Yeah,
it's like boo, Christian nationalism.
Great,
socialized medicine. Let's have us. And so what does Jesus teach? In no way is he teaching socialized medicine. Now, if Al Sharpton wants to run around and heal people, you
can't find socialized medicine in the Bible, like abortion.
You can't find it.
We'll use that argument.
I'm sorry, I just have to say this real quick.
All you
All right, Keith, you can finish.
No, it was just the idea. Like, it's so frustrating because in one breath, and that's what we have to be willing to lean in on. In one breath, they're going to tell us, "Oh, Christian national," and it's to put you on the defensive. Be like, "Oh, you sound like some person who's going to oppose yourself."
But they're doing themselves.
They're going to oppose. They're going to appeal to Jesus in the next breath.
So we have to their own nationalism.
Yeah. Man, Keith, so I just want to let you talk because I have all this. I read the whole opinion from the majority.
200.
No. I think you got that wrong. It's 213 pages total.
But it's got an appendix on it.
An appendix, but I think
the appendix is like pretty rich.
Oh, it's like 60. How many pages, Lydia? It was like 52. I have
26
my kids
times 2.
Yeah,
52.
Yeah, 52.
I heard some math before the show that came out to 52. I don't remember exactly.
It was like 26 double-sided pages at the end of the day. But that's the thing. Like, okay, so I actually read through the majority of this. And actually, I read almost all of it except for half of the dissent. And one of the first, I didn't read Kavanaugh's. I didn't really care what Kavanaugh had to say. Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah. But one of the things that I noticed was I feel like so I'm presuppositional by nature. That's my, and I feel like what do they call, what's the other guys? Evidentialist. I feel like an evidentialist going through this because I'm like, you have to be completely disingenuous to think that the information that was given, they gave you an education in the majority opinion. They took you through common law. And here's just one of I was going to go through a bunch of statements, but you did such a great job, Keith, kind of summing this up. But just listen to this. This is how they end with everything. The inescapable conclusion is that the right to abortion is not deeply rooted in the nation's history and tradition. On the contrary, an unspoken tradition of prohibiting abortion on pain of criminal punishment persisted from the earliest days of common law until 1973. Wow. They even go on to say 185 years after the ratification of the Constitution, all the states had abortion illegal on it. Even in the common law, they had a law that was called, okay, if the baby was quickened, and the quickening is mother feeling it, moving her body, a kick or a move, whatever the movement is. And somebody harms a mother, that's considered malice murder, right? If the child dies. And they said, even if it wasn't quickening, right? If they hadn't felt it, then you have to think about this. Quickening is like, okay, we know for sure that the mother is pregnant with the child. Pre-quickening is like, okay, we know that she's pregnant, but we don't know if the child is actually alive yet, right? So if they had the information that we have, they would have been like, oh yeah, conception easily, no question. But pre-quickening was still murder. And that was on the books. And they went all the way back to the 13th century up until 1973. And nobody on the other side posed an argument of any substance historically to say that abortion has always.
That's right.
But so it's interesting. Scarborough says, hey, this is a new phenomenon. No, you're the new guy on the block, but you've moved yourself away from history.
Yeah. And he moves, like I already repeat myself, but he's removed himself in two ways. First of all, the church has always held this position. There's a guy, Michael Gorman, Google Michael Gorman, abortion church history, has a wonderful article where he lays it all out. But like the church has historically opposed it. And one of the things the early church did was looking after the orphan and the widow. That's one of the ways that they overturned the Roman Empire. Because they would discard these babies left and right, what America's doing. And they were willing to take them on. They would throw them at the garbage dumps and they would go there. So that's some work for us to do.
All right.
Well, next.
Man, you don't want to miss next. So
come on now.
We're going to go back to the Uvalde shooting and talk to our principal here at Logos.
That's right.
Principal Wally Wiggins. You don't want to miss what he has to say about security. You're going to need it, especially if your kids are going to a Christian school. How do you need to be thinking about it? He's got some suggestions. More Cross Politics with Walter Wiggins next.
Hi, I'm Robert Borton, CEO of Classical Conversations, the world's largest classical Christian homeschooling community. I'm launching a new podcast, Refining Rhetoric. If you like cross politics or just listen to hear what crazy stuff they're saying today, you will enjoy Refining Rhetoric. You can find us on your favorite podcast platform. I practice the 15 tools of learning by interviewing great guests, looking at current events, and talking about cryptocurrency.
Armored Republic exists to honor Christ the King by providing tools of liberty to free men. New York State just banned body armor. Armored Republic is suing the state of New York in federal court to resist their arrogant war against your God-given rights. Mass shootings are tragic acts of evil that are best resisted by armed citizens and brave watchmen ready to fight back. The main violent threat to human life is not individual criminals, it is tyranny. This is Armored Republic.
Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back.
That's fair.
Check.
There should be a beat right there. Oh. I like that.
You weren't ready for that.
Hey, y'all, welcome back. I was not.
Yeah, that's right.
Cross Politic.
We got some new toys over here.
We do.
Yeah.
Thank you to our club members.
That's right. We
Seriously.
sound better because of
We're
them.
able to upgrade
As of
Don't
today.
touch.
our board.
As of today.
Don't touch.
Keith, no touch.
I will not touch it.
He will. He's going to touch it
Pretty
before-
excited. Thank you to our club members for supporting us. We're able
Yes.
to buy and upgrade some of our studio. We occasionally can do that. So
Yeah.
This episode is brought to you by Story Real Estate. Home, where you build your legacy. Except for Keith Darrell. Where traditions are started, seeds are planted, meals are shared, and stories are told.
Wow.
Home is
thought
where you
someone said Dave
prepare
was
to
comic
go out
relief.
into the world. Finding it's not very good. Finding the home that's perfect for your family is a big job. It is, especially with all the inflation. Story Real Estate is Moscow's top real estate team. They give people real estate advice all over the country, so you can reach out to them even if you're in Texas, let's say. Family homes, investments, land, and new construction or commercial, they know real estate. If you've thought about a move to Moscow, which I know a lot of you have, especially in California, you sell your house and they come here and pay cash, kind of hurts us locals here. Or anywhere in the
But we're
country,
happy to have you
reach
too.
out to get connected with Story Real Estate Agent. Wherever you're going, they can help guide you. Visit storyrealestate.com. And of course, always when you do these things, mention Cross Politics sent you. We'd
Yeah,
appreciate that.
absolutely.
And for you guys who don't know, we actually did another show earlier with the CEO Michael Seifert
Yeah.
of Public Square.
That's
You
on
got to
YouTube.
check that out. That's on YouTube, and of course it'll be on our podcast also. Check it out. Public Square is doing some great work.
I love what they're doing.
Love what they're doing. Love the vision. What they're doing here. Of course, as you can see, we got Wally Wiggins.
Yes.
In the studio. You guys should know him. He was special ops with Bureau of Land Management. I got him.
Wow. Wally laughs.
He was a paratrooper.
It got me to laugh because I thought Gabe was serious. I thought he really thought it was a Bureau of Land Man. He's like, oh, the special ops are bad men. BLM, bad men.
And more importantly, he's the secondary principal at our children's school, at Logos School.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming in the studio, Wally. Appreciate
You're
you.
welcome, guys. Good to be here.
So Wally, I was joking, but he really was special forces for
26 years.
26 years.
26 years.
Nine deployments.
Yep, 9.
And if I'm saying the right language, you can correct
yeah.
me. Don't
Non-combat deployments.
Okay, non-combat deployments and all that stuff. So you got quite the experience, and then now you're principal of our kids' Christian school, and then you have these school shootings that have been happening, and then we had the Uvalde shooting. We've had a number of guests on, including Nate Spearing, and you actually managed Nate. Nate reported to you.
Yeah, we were
In the Special Forces?
Yeah, exactly. We were in the same unit together, deployed a couple of times together.
Wow.
So yeah, he's a great friend, and it was great to work with him.
So when the Uvalde shooting happened, it got us. We actually, obviously we had kids in school. We're concerned about these kind of things, and and Knox got to talking to you yesterday.
Yeah,
which triggered we got to get Wally in the studio. With Special Forces, principal of Christian school.
Him and Nate know each other. Work together.
How do you, when you see things like the Uvalde shooting, how do you process that as principal of our kids' school? Emphasis.
Well, I think the first thing is we take a look at what happened, and it takes time for us to unpack an event like that, because like Nate talked about, you don't have all the information at once.
Yeah.
It takes time for that information to come out. But we want to take the lessons learned from Uvalde and from other school shooting incidents, and we want to use that to learn and to help improve what we do at Logos, so that our parents, our clients, can rest assured that we're going to do everything we can to protect their children.
Don't miss what
Yeah.
Wally just said
I
there.
know. Oh, I know.
He said our clients.
Yeah. Right.
Like I'm the
Right.
client.
That's right.
The public school system doesn't think you're the client.
Yeah.
They think your kid's just theirs.
You know, we were talking before the show. You said that we talked yesterday, and you said, "Hey, Nate had some really good observations about what happened." But even those were incomplete because we hadn't gotten nearly as much information as we have now. I think we're close towards the end of getting the last media. There'll probably be more, of course.
Yeah.
But we know more now than we did then when we had that conversation. How are you processing what we know now in light of the conversation with Nate?
Yeah. Well, I think the biggest thing that I got out of that is that we have a tendency to make assumptions about our own security. We operate in our day-to-day basis in the comfort of feeling fairly secure, and you have, that's how you actually go about living, right?
That's right.
You have to have some assurance of security. What I saw in the after action reports of the Uvalde shooting is that we rely upon our local police departments to be that source of security, and that may be a faulty assumption. And I hate to say that, and I never thought that I actually would say that. But one of the things that Nate really did a great job of pulling out is that what's the environment that our PDs are having to endure, especially since
CRT training,
and the killing of George Floyd and the movement to defund the police and to treat public servants as if they're doing some great evil. That causes hesitation at the time when you don't want to hesitate. And so it's not that I would necessarily question the competence, the equipping, the training of our police departments, but the fact is you don't know. And you're waiting on somebody to make a decision to intervene and solve a problem, and you don't know if they're actually going to do it. Whereas a trained, and when I say trained, it's limited training and limited ability to solve problems in that kind of situation, but at least a team of administrators, teachers that are right there on campus, that know that campus, that know those children,
know that door,
know that door. I know everything about that door, and I'm there, and I'm equipped to some extent to be able to solve that problem. So we're gonna try and solve that problem.
So you're principal of Uvalde. How do you respond? Once you understand that there are shots being fired within the walls of your school, you move to the problem. And again, depending on are you properly equipped or not, you've got to come up with a couple of options very quickly to try and change that attacker's calculus.
But you even talked about this yesterday with me, which I hadn't thought about because it's been suburb life can sometimes make you really soft.
Yeah, it sure
and
can.
one of the things that you reminded me about was making yourself a hard target.
Yeah.
And you said that needs to be a presupposition even before you even talk about the shooting. Explain that though.
Yeah. So making yourself a hard target, it really starts with worldview. It really the basis is worldview. Do we understand the nature of man? Do we understand that men do evil, and that there is an actual spiritual war that is going on, and Satan wishes to snuff out that which reflects the Creator, and so knowing that, we come with the assumption that there are people in society that wish to do us harm. And because there are people that wish to do us harm, we have a duty and an obligation to provide security for those people that we are responsible for. First of all, with the family. We have a duty to secure and protect our family. Now, from a school perspective, we don't have responsibility for the students. That responsibility is the parents. But those parents delegate authority to us as administrators and teachers to protect their children while they are in our charge.
Yeah.
And we've got to take that really seriously. Just as the same thing with the education that we're providing to them. Our parents are trusting us that we're going to educate them in the way that is in alignment with their values. Same thing with security.
It's interesting to me that when we talk about, particularly like Uvalde, it's one of the most recent ones. I didn't think of it literally until this interview. Like, where was the principal at Uvalde?
We don't know.
Like how come we don't look at the schools and say, man, what was the staff doing? Why aren't they helping?
Well, it's because of what he said. He's like, we have a built-in system that the police do that. Right? It's wired into us. Well, if something goes wrong, that's why the first thing everybody asks, what was the first thing everybody asked? Is there a police officer on site somewhere that's supposed to be
campus officer or something?
It's like, well, I didn't leave my kids in the position with the authority of the police there. I left them with the authority of the school. Yeah. That's who's responsible in a lot of ways. I still want to go back. I want to know what you have on this piece of paper because that's intriguing. But there is something about making a hard target that people that I've been around who don't know. Like, I learned that from being on the streets. When there is a way that people will mark you out, and they were like, "Oh, that's an easy win right there, right?" Like,
there's weakness.
I can get him right, like, and I know, and they'll size you up, and they'll be like, "Oh, yeah, he's a soft target, right?" Like, I can get him. And when you leave a certain environment, you forget that that's a reality in the world because of sin. It's not in just one place; it's in multiple places. How do schools or how do schools and make hard targets of their environment?
Well, I think the first, as we talked about, it's that understanding that you could be a target, and so therefore you have to make specific decisions and invest specific resources to help you make that school a hard target. The first thing is, do you have a system? Do you have a plan in place? Just the process of going through the planning. And trying to work out contingencies about how a security team or how an administration is going to work with a problem helps harden you. It makes you think about, all right, what's our normal pattern within the school? Do we have open doors? Is that a normal thing? Where are those open doors? Who's responsible for those doors? How do we secure those doors?
Do you open carry? Which you guys do.
Do you open carry?
Yeah.
And you have to understand the laws of your municipality and your state,
right?
In order to be able to do that legally. We're very thankful that we have a board, first of all, who has the right mindset, and who has enabled us to have the training and the equipment that we need to be able to be a deterrent.
Yeah.
Open carry is one way of showing that you're a hard target.
Yeah.
What does that do? Outside of people saying, "Oh, I might have to think twice about getting through that target." Is that
I always think that they always have the element of surprise. You know what I mean? So the guy showing up to school with an AR-15 always, it's not like you guys are like on the roof. Maybe you are. I don't know. But you know what I mean? So they always have the element of surprise.
Right. So, yeah. The question that most assailants are going to ask themselves is, unless they have a specific grudge with that specific school, they're going to ask themselves, okay, what are the chances that I'm going to get shot at if I do this?
I'll go to the next school up the road because they're open carrying here. Yeah.
Because that's a softer target. Yeah. You don't have to be the fastest gazelle. You just don't want to be the slowest.
Wow. All right, we got to go. What is that on the paper? Because we're going to talk about this in the club portal. What is that?
Yeah. So I came up with a school security framework that I'll be sharing with other ACCS schools that attend our teacher training, so that it'll help them think about how to think about security. Give them some steps that they can take, depending on where they are, what resources they have, how big they are, Every school security plan is unique to that school.
Yeah.
But it's good to have a framework so that you can organize your thoughts and put something together.
Ooh, there's some Club Portal content here.
If you don't have a backstage pass, you better get you one.
You got to pay for this.
It's about to go down because some of y'all can't make it. When is it? You guys have an ACCS or you guys doing something here at Logos, some training too, right?
Yeah, we do. We'll do teacher training next week.
Oh, if you're not going to be there for that, you better get a Club Portal.
Yes,
all
sir.
right. So, hey, if you're single, get married. If you're married, have you some kids. And if you have kids, go baptize them. Until tomorrow, love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. Go fight, laugh, and feast. This is Cross Politic.
The season of Augustine and the season of Cassiodorus were very different moments in a crucial transformation that occurred in the history of the Western liberal arts. All right, so just stay like this. How am I doing here? So, yeah, you don't like this, huh? What does a Christian education look like when non-Christians are the ones who control the institutions of learning? This is a question that confronted Bishop Augustine of Hippo in North Africa in the 5th century AD. Augustine lived at the twilight of the Roman Empire. He himself had been trained with the best learning that Rome at that time had to offer. He himself actually came through the ranks and taught rhetoric in some of the best schools. And it was then, after he had come of age, that he converted to Christianity, but he wanted to continue the project of education, but this time for Christians. And so he had to confront the question, what does a Christian education look like when the unbelievers control the field? When they control the institutions, when the whole apparatus and curriculum of learning emerged from a pagan environment. And so Augustine wondered, what is it that Christians should jettison? What is it that Christians can embrace? What is it that Christians can adopt but in modified form? These are the questions that Augustine confronted when he sought to educate Christians in an environment when unbelievers dominated the field. A century later, we see a man in the south of Italy named Cassiodorus who faced a very different educational landscape. He had to ask, what did a Christian education look like in an environment where unbelievers had abandoned the project of education altogether? The infrastructure of learning had entirely eroded. If education was to proceed at all, it had to proceed on the foundation of Christianity. The Christians had to be the ones preserving education. What does a Christian education look like when Christians are the ones forming the institutions, when Christians are the ones organizing the curriculum? Well, these two seasons in the history of education, the season of Augustine and the season of Cassiodorus, just 100 years apart, were very different moments in a crucial transformation that occurred in the history of the Western liberal arts. We're going to be studying this story. We're going to be going back to the sources. We're going to go back to Augustine. We're going to go back to Cassiodorus. We're going to ask ourselves which of their predicaments most resembles our own. Which can we learn from Augustine's period? What can we learn from Cassiodorus's period? As we confront these questions, we're going to engage these sources, and we invite you to join us here at New St. Andrews College.